right. Hello, everybody. Appreciate you guys joining us with some peers and ideas as far as what's going on with crisis managing and marketing. And I really appreciate you joining us. This is Vanessa with Intercoastal Net Designs, ICND, and we really felt strongly about putting together this panel of peers so that we can be stronger together. And rather than me coming on here and saying, hey, this is what you guys should be doing, we really felt like this was more important to hear from your peers and allow them to weigh in on what's going on with the industry. And so if you don't know ICND, we are a website design and digital marketing company. I am Vanessa Humes and I'm the director of sales here. And with that opportunity and position, I am so lucky to know the ladies here on the panel through either being a client or through being on the VRMA education committee or networking through numerous events. And so these are definitely some leading ladies in marketing and ownership of their companies. And I feel like they will be able to definitely give you some insights and confidence in what you're doing, the messages that you're putting out there. And without further ado, we want to start with you guys introducing yourselves. Lindsay Bolton with Finger Lakes Premier Properties. I'll let you start and you can kind of tell us about your role, about your market, what's going on, how this is overall affecting you. Are you guys able to take current reservations and that sort of thing?
All right, well, thank you. Again, my name is Lindsay Bolton. I'm the marketing manager at Finger Lakes Premier Properties. We are located in upstate New York. We currently manage around 280 vacation rentals around 6 of the Finger Lakes. So that's about a 1,500 square mile radius. So our market's a little bit different from others. So we have a lot of townships in our region. So far for New York State, nothing for vacation rentals has been banned. Fortunately, we are still taking a very, very small number of reservations. We have 2 arrivals this coming weekend. We had 2 arrivals this past weekend. So this time of the year is pretty slow for us anyways. That's really the gist of it. Yes, we've definitely seen a dramatic decrease in website traffic and bookings. We were pacing ahead and now we're pacing behind. Fortunately, our market, knock on wood, has not been affected like some of the other markets that are going to be talking today.
Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate that. Jennifer, do you want to go next?
Hey there, Jennifer Frankenstein. We're in New Smyrna Beach, east coast of Florida, about 20 minutes south of Daytona Beach. We are in the midst of our biggest season. These 4 weeks from March 14th until April 18th are 5 of the biggest weeks of the year for us. So we have processed hundreds of cancellations. The first week, as all of you know, I mean, everything changes. Every 24 hours, something changes. So we really had like 48 hours notice to know that people are not going to go on vacation. So our first week we were okay, March 14th to the 21st. As we had cancellations, we actually had rebookings very quickly for all of the Central Florida people whose vacations were canceled and they wanted to at least drive and get away to the beach. So we ended up with about 45 cancellations. We have 260 properties in the New Smyrna Beach area. We ended up with 40 cancellations and 40 bookings. So we ended up sold out that first week. Well, by the end of the week, people started seeing the seriousness of what was going on and cancellations were just flowing in. So we've processed well over 200 cancellations at this point. For the next 4 weeks, we are trying to not handle anything after April 30th. We're trying to handle anybody who's arriving between now and April 30th. And we've been very hard hit. This is our biggest season next to 4th of July and midsummer. This is the height of our season. So it's been rough on all of us.
Yeah, yep, definitely. Caroline, you're with Atwood Vacations in Edisto Beach. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
That's right. Hi. So I handle our marketing and social media at Atwood Vacations. I also do our photography and some design work. My coworker, Leslie, also works in marketing with me, and she could not be here because this morning our town announced that they are going to not allow short-term rentals starting tomorrow morning through April 30th at this time. So we're all hands on deck right now, calling all of our renters and letting them know. They are allowing the guests that are currently checked in right now to finish the remainder of their week. So they're not kicking them out straight away, but this is definitely, day by day, a lot of uncertainty, figuring things out.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being on the panel with us, considering what's just been put on your plate today.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. Judith, how's it going?
Well, like Jennifer, we had a very sudden turnover of events. So in February, we were running behind for a while, and then we surged ahead in bookings, and we thought, oh, great, this is awesome. And then, like Jennifer, exactly the week of the 14th to the 21st, we did okay. But this particular week now that we're in, we went from a 96% occupancy down to 41%, and next week is worse. So we're going from, by the way, we're Fort Myers Beach, Florida, Sun Palace Vacations. That is in the southwest part of Florida. We are a 12-month destination, but we rely on February and March through till Easter as our big gravy. So this has hit us extremely hard with 120 properties. We've done about 165 cancellations in the last couple of days. And, the staff is feeling it. Everybody's feeling it. The town feels like a ghost town. They closed the beaches. And now we've got basically a travel ban in Florida on anybody from the tri-state area. And we're coming up to the New England spring break, which is the 3rd week in April. And all those people are from New York State. So they probably will not be coming, and I'm not sure if I want them. I mean, they have the highest incidence right now of contacted virus. So I think a lot of those people are going to be heeding things very carefully about where they're going. We're also seeing people who are here now that don't want to go home and are looking for additional accommodation.
Right. Crazy. And Amber, are you on with us?
Yep, I'm here. I have
Hey, Amber.
right now. Sorry, I'm not showing my video, but I keep losing my voice this morning.
Yeah. Thanks
So
so
I'm
much for joining us.
You're welcome. So I'm with Acme Vacation Homes, and I have clients actually all over the country, but most of my time is spent with Acme. We're in Palm Springs, California, and up until yesterday, well, actually, we started the season 40% ahead of year over year in pace. We were really killing it. We have about 200 individual luxury single family homes. And when this all started, we actually were doing a really good job of rebooking our guests. And we have, at the end, we've rebooked about 200 reservations. All the cancellations that we have are pretty much related to Airbnb and the crap that they pulled. And so we had actually rebooked many of our Airbnb guests, and then they were able to cancel anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that really ignited a firestorm with other guests trying to demand rebooking or demand cancellations that had already rebooked. And so that finally has kind of settled down, and looks like we've saved about 75% of our reservations by rebooking in the future.
Wow.
But as of yesterday, we had already been under a shelter in place, but they were allowing hotels and vacation rentals to still operate. And then as of yesterday, Palm Springs totally shut down hotels and vacation rentals unless we were housing medical staff or someone that was there to help with the crisis. And same thing as other destinations, we didn't have to kick out our guests, but we had to cancel any arrivals between now and the end of April. And we've had to go ahead, as of yesterday, we blocked our calendars to June 1st, just because there's too many unknowns. And honestly, our staff, it feels like every day we were doing something different. And it's been very taxing on everybody. But we're hanging in there.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you being here, and you've been definitely throwing the Mike Tyson punch too. So appreciate your time and participation in this to all of you. It really means a lot to us in the industry and the listeners out there to hear your stories and hear your insights. And there's our I forgot to switch the slide there. So there's all the beautiful faces, but with ICND and the State of the Union there, we've kind of seen the same thing. Just to give you guys some perspective, and looking at your analytics on Google, we're seeing a 50 to 70% on average drop in traffic from last week to this week. So exactly what you guys were saying, Jennifer and Judith, about last week looked good, and then this week we come in and it's like a halt. There are some areas that are only seeing 20 to 30%. So, this is really based on what's going on in the markets that, you really feed your destination. But here over on the right-hand side, this graph here is the trending of Google and the search terms. So the red line is Airbnb, and the blue line is vacation rentals, and the yellow line is VRBO or Verbo, those search terms. So you can see from February 23rd to March 16th how drastic, the demand has dropped off. And, another way of putting this in perspective, you talk about looking at our servers and the amount of application processes. At what point, we were averaging 1.6 million and it went down to 600,000. So there's definitely a lot less website traffic and action on your websites. So with that, we have to change, we have to evolve, we have to switch up things, we have to be, as owners of the vacation rental companies, you have to be smart with what you're doing with your marketing. So I wanted to just talk with you guys, and again, we can start with Lindsay. Tell us about what's changed with your marketing strategy, and how you're adjusting your channels to the drops in traffic. And, Lindsay, you're a little bit different in that you're allowing to have guests there where the other markets have been hit harder, but that could change at any moment. So what are you doing to adjust your strategy?
Yeah, so we have reduced our marketing budget for the remaining of March, all of April, and then we'll revisit May. We've reduced it by about 60%, and that includes our pay-per-click ads. We are still doing pay-per-click ads. We do still see about 25% of the traffic to our website is still coming in through pay-per-click ads. We have the benefit of being the leader in our region. So we rank very well organically as it is. And we basically have the pay-per-click ads to compete against the OTAs. That's the main reason why we have them. But organically and with our pay-per-clicks, like I said before, our traffic is down 50% week over week. But we're just trying to stay top of mind for people if they are taking this, quarantine time to, peruse vacation rentals because, they're cooped up and they want to be in that dreaming phase. So we're going to be there for them.
Mm-hmm. Are you hitting up any kind of drive market? Are you changing, from your main feeder market? Is your main feeder market mostly drive to anyways?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And so we're staying with that. we're trying to hit a little bit closer to home now. So we're
Yeah.
trying to be more of like a local resource to people because our region is so big. We have a couple, mediocre sized cities that are within a 3-hour driving range that we're trying to target them a little bit more so that come summer is our big booking season for us. That's when, about 80% of our bookings come in. So we're trying to promote our region, not just the vacation rentals for summer and also fall. We have a really large winery industry in our region. The wineries are still open because they are seen as an essential business because they're agriculture. They cannot do tastings in their tasting rooms, but they can still sell wine. So we're in that area, we are still open, our region is. And the fall is a huge time for wine vacationers. And so we're still sending out those type of messages.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Jennifer?
We've really focused on the drive market, and as we all said, things change. We say day by day, but they change from the morning to the afternoon to the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So we changed our PPC and ad budgets to the drive market when this first happened.
Right.
We were doing email marketing, but I'm sure all of you have experienced some pushback and negative feedback on the fact that we're trying to offer people vacations when the government is trying to get people to stay home. So we changed our complete marketing and our email marketing to a couple of different things. One was our home is your home marketing campaign. So it's not a vacation home. We're not asking you to come on vacation, but we are realizing that people locked up in their home for 2 weeks might need a change of scenery, and driving to a different home and self-quarantining at that home with a new view from your home office. So we've sent emails on our home is your home. This could be your office. And we've gotten it probably at least 30 or 40 bookings just from that, because people, they have to work from home and they'd rather work from another home for a week.
Mm-hmm.
My beach has not been closed. All the beaches north of me and south of me on the West Coast, everybody's been closed. My city commission actually refuses to close our beach, and people are separated on our beach. I've been there for 10 days. I just came home to the Orlando area last night, but the people who live on the island want to be able to go out and walk on the beach. And so the city commission has not closed the beach. We also don't have a stay-at-home order in the state of Florida, nor do we in Seminole County where I live or Volusia County where my businesses are. So that's been good, but no one wants negative feedback right now. We want to stay as positive as possible. So we stopped the whole go on vacation, grab your bags, hit the road, none of that. Our home is your home. This could be your office. Self-quarantine, we have your own kitchen. We put the picture of the kitchen, play games at the table with your family, just get a different view.
Mm-hmm.
Other advertising that we've done, social media, we've really started the positive message, like here's this morning's sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
It is a new day. We're going to make it through this. That's what people need to hear right now. They don't necessarily want to hear like even book your vacation this summer, because a lot of people are probably not going to be able to afford a vacation in the next 12, 18, 24 months.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to people who need hope when you're also trying to keep your business alive? I have owners who may lose their homes after this. I have 13 staff members that I want them to keep their jobs. And we are working very hard to do that. We've not let anybody go. I have no plans on letting anyone go. We have a very small staff and we're all working together to get through this, because owners still need to be taken care of. Properties still need to be taken care of. Guests still need to be talked to and reassured. It is a change in focus, and I'm sure everybody's experiencing the same thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's, a very positive way and perspective to put on it. I mean, that's definitely better than most of the doom and gloom that you hear out there. Caroline, how about you guys? I know things have really shifted for you this morning,
Right.
but have you guys taken any action with your pay-per-click, email marketing?
Yeah, we've reduced our marketing budget
Yep.
for now, and we'll definitely be reassessing what we should do moving forward. Recently, we just launched a photo contest. Since we don't want to encourage vacation right now, a way to interact with our guests. We launched a photo contest for them to submit their family photos, and the winner receives a $100 gift card to the local restaurant of their choice. So trying to help out our local businesses as well.
Yeah.
We'll probably send that out in a email campaign. Let's see what else.
Just trying to keep
we're
people
closed.
active.
Right, but as of now, only residents are allowed on the island. So yeah, that's what we've been doing thus
Yeah.
far.
How about you, Judith? What are you guys doing down there at Sun Palace?
Well, we've reduced our pay-per-click drastically down to $300 a month from $1,000. It's just something we had to do. We spent a fair bit of money on Facebook retargeting as well, and we've cut that back. It's just a time when people aren't really looking, so it's something that you have to do and stay on. We've been very lucky that we have very, very high organic search for Sun Palace, because our SEO has been going for 13 years, and that we managed to show up in some of the oddest searches that you would imagine, including pontoon boat rentals, which we don't do. So that's one thing. Direct mail we've never really done, although we will start doing an owner acquisition direct mail program once we get past Easter. Other advertising, we only do 2 pieces of print advertising a year. One is in a local map and the other is in the chamber book. That's not going to change because we feel we need to maintain our presence there.
Mm-hmm.
And social media, we are keeping up with a campaign of pictures of the beach and trying not to put the pictures of the barriers to the beach up, but it's really sad. You drive up the island and everything's got orange barricades and caution tape, and it feels kind of like a police zone or something. It's it's otherworldly is all I can say. I feel like I'm on a strange movie set.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that you feel like you're in a bad movie, or it's crazy. And I brought up the print advertising and direct mail in hopes that Claire from Sand and Sea was going to join us. And things have shifted so much. They obviously have been under kind of the same thing that you guys have been under as far as closing the beaches and handling guests and owners and what's going to happen. But prior to that, before everything had gone so drastically to the quarantine, she was reaching out to her drive market through direct mail and even print advertising, because Houston is such a big market to Galveston, and the local authorities there were saying, rather than travel abroad for your spring break, you should stay local. So she was really pushing that, but of course that has changed. Amber, how about in Palm Springs? Have you guys adjusted? I'm sure you've been cutting back a lot of your marketing dollars, and what are you doing to spend wisely?
Yeah, and sorry if you hear my 1-year-old lab puppy crying in the background, it's because he thinks he's being neglected while I'm on the webinar. But yes, we actually initially kept everything running as far as PPC and ad budgets, but there was some messaging that came out from VRBO and then eventually from the city that really made us hesitate on doing any further marketing. Basically, they don't want us to do any marketing and use any language that encourages people to leave their homes. So we switched all of our verbiage to actually just being about, if you need a place to stay because you are needing a shelter, like we were very specific in saying, if you need a place to shelter in place because you're working as a first responder or in the medical community, that's what we pivoted to, because that's the only thing that aligns with both the city regulations and also the OTA regulations right now. So we were super careful about it. But more than just changing our language, we actually made a list of all the long-term care facilities, all the healthcare facilities, all the doctors' offices, et cetera, because we're finding a lot of doctors and nurses don't want to go home and potentially infect their families if they've been infected. And so we're getting requests from all of those people to have a place to go home to as an alternative. And we are allowed by the city to do that. And so we've been making calls to all the human resources departments and making sure they have a special booking code and know that even though our calendars show as blocked, that we can help them. Mm-hmm. From an email marketing perspective, we've had to pivot from even kind of that messaging to, we're trying to activate some of that, some of the local businesses. And so for instance, we're about to start a campaign where we work with some of the most sought after restaurants, like people's favorite places to eat in Palm Springs, and getting chefs to give us some recipes that we can share every couple of days for people to make at home while they're stuck at home.
Yeah.
And really activate them on social media, and maybe get our guests to post, their version of their favorite things to eat in Palm Springs. Some of those things are the messages that we're going out with. Also, any guests who have remaining or rebooked or have reservations they haven't canceled in the future, we're writing notes to every single one of them so that we can thank them for supporting our business and all the employees that are left, and really personalizing a thank you letter to them. So that's really, from a direct mail standpoint, we're trying to write all of those notes to all of our guests and let them know that we're here for them. We're not going away. That's the biggest issue, I think, is if you go quiet on your marketing, then they don't know if you even still exist. And
yeah.
Worse.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. If there's a company out there and it's your online reputation management in a lot of ways, and those social signals, if you're not posting on your social media or sending out emails, they're going to wonder and not have confidence when they are ready to make a vacation plans to call you. So I think that's really important. And we've kind of blended in with this next question: how has your message changed? Just like you've been writing the thank you notes, I did see in one of the VR groups, a vacation rental manager from Sanibel Island was sending her guests that had to cancel like a little kit, like a seashell and a koozie and a warm message, just saying, we're really sorry that we weren't able to help you out. And I thought that was a great way to build that loyalty. And so when they are ready to come back and book again, that they will think of your company as top of mind. Lindsay, I pulled in one of your social media posts as far as, you guys are still posting great pictures of the lake, how peaceful, how wonderful it is. I don't know if you guys have seen the commercials from Vegas. Obviously Vegas is pretty much shut down, and they're talking about how only you matter, and nothing's more important than the health and safety of our visitors. A lot of you guys have touched on how your message has changed. Lindsay, have you guys done anything with community involvement, pictures of your team working from home, valued guest messages? How are you keeping up that message, and what's really your theme right now?
Yeah, so we've really reduced the number of campaigns that we've sent out. Typically we send out 3 email campaigns per week. We're focusing on 1 per week right now. Really, like I said, focusing on, planning tools, take a virtual tour of, top 10 virtual tours for, our homes, ideas on how to keep people occupied as they're spending more time inside. We're going to be kind of bringing back that throwback Thursday hashtag, where we do a lot of photo contests already with our guests. So featuring, you know, some of our favorite guest photos from last summer, you know, really keeping it on a positive note. We are putting together local resources. Like I said, a lot of our market is drive market, but a lot of our market too is people who actually live in the Finger Lakes but don't have a lake house. So they then rent a lake house so they have the time to enjoy the lake. So providing the resources on, you know, what restaurants are doing the takeout, you know, favorite ice cream shops where you can go and they'll bring a tub of ice cream out to you. We're trying to be that resource to them. The challenge for us is that our area is so big, it takes a while to compile all of that.
Yeah.
We have put together, you know, a landing page for our site on coronavirus, and at the bottom of it, it has all the local resources for coronavirus broken down by lake. So all of the counties that surround that lake. So if anybody wants, you know, specific information from the local governments, that information is there. Like I said, we're really trying to be just more of a resource for people to find information. We've done a really fantastic job in the past of being, you know, a go-to source for vacationing information. And so we're still trying to keep that tone and keeping it positive. We are also really trying to focus on that this is a temporary situation and that we anticipate an increase in demand as, you know, the situation evolves. So for guests that are coming, that have bookings, we have specific messaging to them, and we can talk about that when I think we're going to be talking about those kind of messages coming up. And
yeah, that's kind of where we're at as far as like, how has your message changed? So what kind of messaging are you sending to your current guest?
so current guests are receiving just some general information from us. You know, our employees are working from home. We do have reduced business hours, but we are still taking calls. We're happy to answer any of your questions you may have. Obviously, we recommend travel insurance for anybody that is considering booking, really pushing that. I don't know who would book anything right now without travel insurance. So really making sure that people know that that is available to them. And just focusing also on our housekeeping standards. This is what our housekeeping department is doing. We've always been, you know, a top-notch housekeeping department. We do everything in-house. And we put in bold letters, we do not outsource our linens. We do not outsource our bedding or any of our supplies. That all comes from in-house.
Keyless locks.
Yes.
And obviously you've got private homes rather than resort style inventory.
So and a lot of
condos.
our homes too offer in-house entertainment. There's game rooms. So there, a lot of our homes will come with kayaks, so you can practice social distancing out on the lake.
Yeah, so you have a lot of different messages, especially that you can still accept rentals. I think that definitely is a difference in a lot of the markets that, you know, are out there.
But we're taking into consideration what's happening in the other markets, and so we're not pushing any book now messages. We're being, just like I said, just a resource for people. Yeah, very subtle.
Yeah. And we were talking about cancellation policies, and you brought up travel insurance. And I know cancellation policies are a bit touchy subjects at the moment, so share what you can. And also with travel insurance, I wanted to ask you guys if, does travel insurance cover pandemics like this? So
it doesn't. I'll take that question. It really doesn't. But I think as property managers, we can use this situation to sell future travel insurance, because we really don't know what can happen. I mean, we are likely, hopefully, never in our lifetimes again going to witness a pandemic like this. So no, travel insurance is not covering it. And this is going to be a touchy subject, and this is going to be a place where PMs get together with their partners, their travel insurance companies, and discuss, you know, why we sold these policies, how much money was made off these policies when none of these policies will be paid out. I mean, that's a later conversation. We can't tell guests it's going to be covered, but for, you know, we don't know, but the experts, you know, what are they saying? How long is this going to last?
Mhm.
And I'm married to a physician. He's on the board for Florida Hospital. And the talk is hopefully by mid-June, the beginning of June, mid-June, we could be through this. And because travelers don't know what can happen, they should purchase travel insurance, because in the best of cases, it does cover you and it does cover everything. Doesn't cover this, no one could predict this. So while travel insurance companies don't want to go out of business, neither do property managers. We don't want to go out of business. And taking 100% of the responsibility for the pandemic when we have travelers who, you know, they booked their vacation, they didn't buy travel insurance, when they come back and say, well, it wasn't covered anyway, but they didn't buy travel insurance, they didn't do anything to protect their vacation, and now we're supposed to, and our homeowners are supposed to take 100% of the responsibility for what's happened and possibly go out of business. It's a really difficult situation for everyone.
So on our end, we agree. I totally agree, Jennifer. Like, there's nothing that covers a pandemic, but things like canceled flights, and if they had doctor's notes, things like that, if they were smart, there were ways to still use their travel insurance, even if it wasn't a travel insurance that had travel for any reason. And so we had that same argument with guests and very respectfully, we had these conversations and said, you know, you want 100% refund because you're telling us your flights were canceled and Canada doesn't want you to travel down here. But that actually, it has nothing to do with COVID-19. Like, that specific instance would have been covered. And then the guests kind of really understood. And I agree, like, I think people will value travel insurance more moving forward. But they're like just blanketly saying that it won't cover it because of the pandemic. Certain circumstances are still covering guests with their travel insurance. And so, you know, it's been interesting to have those conversations with people who didn't want to invest in it, that actually could have used it and gotten all their money back.
Well, I think some of the really issues here that are upsetting is that people bought travel insurance thinking that, and some of them before this even happened, thinking that, well, you know, I'm covered, but even things like canceled flights weren't covered because they said, well, it was, you know, it's a travel ban. So there's some questions here that I think, and I see Nancy's Renzo from Red Skies is piping in here, but it's a tricky situation on everybody's part, and I think that it might make it more difficult for us to sell travel insurance in the future if people buy it and then they realize that it wasn't worth what they paid for it. You know, how are we going to assess that in the future?
Yeah, we're having some questions. This is April. We're having some questions and statements coming in about travel insurance. One stating that unless they purchase, cancel for any reason policy, that's about the only way that they're going to get any coverage. And then we just had Isaac speak up and say CSA does not cover if a government agency bans travel, has a travel ban. So there are definitely some discrepancies, just like you said, Judith, that where it is a difference in whatever the policy is.
Has this, you know, what's happened with, I know Amber, you probably can speak a lot about Airbnb and, you know, the control that they've taken with the cancellation policy that obviously hit you guys extremely hard. And, you know, has this whole pandemic, has it made you flex on your cancellation policy? Obviously, I was listening in on the VRM Intel webinar yesterday, and I think it was Ben and Mike Harrington brought up the point of, it doesn't make sense to upset a guest and get a terrible review. How are you guys handling cancellations? How are you handling, are you trying to do the credit? I think the credit is a great concept. And I definitely support that. How are you guys flexing on your cancellation policies?
So we're not having our frontline staff handle that. That gets escalated to myself or Boris, our COO. And basically we have very real humanistic conversations with people. And so we talk them through, you didn't buy travel insurance, and I know there's discrepancies, but guys, I'll tell you, like, the way that you word it when you talk to your travel insurance company has a big impact on how it gets handled. Either way, we talk them through it and we just say, look, you're going to want to come on vacation. We gave them a whole year to rebook, like the airlines. And so that really made a huge difference, not trying to get them to come back by this fall, opening it up to and being super flexible with when they could rebook was a huge part of it. And for the ones that were really upset, we acted like it was a new booking and gave them, as if they made a new booking, they got to get a refund on just the portion that they would have paid, like from a deposit standpoint. So if they want to come next April and to make that booking today, they would have had to put 50% down. We gave them 50% back so that they felt good about it. And that's worked with 99% of the people that were escalated. We still had a handful that were just outrageous. I'll be honest. Like, some of them were just saying, I'm going to get my lawyer, I'm going to do all these things. And we said, fine, here's all your money back. Because we agree, like, it's not worth it. And what was even crazier is the moment we gave them their money back, they literally every single time, and I'm talking about dozens of people that have been like, oh, we can't wait to come back. You guys are the best. So literally it's been a very emotional conversation with some people that they just are in full panic mode. Some of them have lost their jobs or think they're about to lose their jobs. So ultimately we do the right thing. We've also had weekly webinars with our owners telling them that we were going to have to give money back against our policies to protect their reputation of not just us as a company, but their home, because a lot of the reviews would be on their specific home. And so the owners have been great about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
we
a good
did
point.
flex our cancellation policy for new bookings during this time, which now that it's banned, it's irrelevant. But we won't keep a flexible booking policy moving forward, though. That's
Mhm.
not something that would work for our homeowners either.
Sure. Yeah. But it's good. That's a great idea of doing a weekly webinar with your homeowners to explain what you have to do and why you have to do it and the obstacles that you're facing and keeping up that communication. I think that's a great point there.
We also told, like, the truth is that these guests, if they do a chargeback, probably would win. So
Right.
we don't have the staff to deal with thousands of chargebacks. And so we're doing whatever it takes to avoid chargebacks and
Mhm.
bad reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Anybody else have anything to weigh in on cancellation policies?
We started one cancellation policy and we had to pivot and adjust as different messaging came out from different OTAs. So we are giving travel credits. We want you to come back and stay. We had to put out a 9-step program because I don't have the ability to escalate it just to a manager. My frontline staff is taking the call, but we sat down and did a training session and we gave them 9 steps. Here is what we would like to do for cancellation. And basically we want them to transfer their dates. We are trying not to give full refunds, but like Amber said, they're going to win a chargeback and you don't want to lose the guest permanently. And everybody's situation is different. In some households, mom and dad have lost their jobs and they're not going to take a vacation. In some households, people are happy to support your small business and change their dates. Some people are outright panicking and feel like if they don't get that money credited back to their credit card today, they may be homeless by tomorrow. And it's such a wide variety that those individual conversations, like Amber was talking about, are so important. And during that conversation, we do let them know that they're not going to have this conversation when they call VRBO or when they call Airbnb or booking.com. They get to have that conversation with me, the owner of the company, my general manager, my lead sales agent, and we get to talk through what their needs are and what our needs are and how we're going to work this out for all of us. And that's an important, subtle teaching tool to build a guest relationship right now.
Lindsay, you were going to tell us about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so I mean, just like Jennifer and Amber pointed out, it's a really emotional conversation to have. It is our frontline staff who are having those conversations too, but you know, after a couple days of hearing the concerns that were coming in, what we did was we looked at the personalities within our frontline staff and said, okay, who is best to handle these calls? Not everybody is able to, you know, calm the person down, talk to them, you know, appropriately. So we identified who those personalities were and, you know, did the training with them and gave them the messages. The really important thing that we learned was providing our staff, like you said, Jennifer, the training and the content, the messages, in order for them to speak to these, you know, people who are so emotional. Is really, really important. We have adjusted our cancellation policies, but we don't advertise it. So on our coronavirus landing page, it says, if you have questions about your upcoming reservation, call us. And so that's when our reservation staff can identify, you know, what is the level that this person's at right now. Almost all of the people that they have talked to are thrilled that we're allowing them to book at a later date. They might not have the same house that they want, but that's the great thing about being a vacation rental company, is that we have a large inventory of homes and we can find something else that will suit their needs. We've only had to give 100% refunds to a very small number of people. And I mean, I'm talking less than 10. We're really fortunate, but that's also because, like I said, this time of year is very slow for us. So we've been very fortunate with that. We do cater a lot right now this time of year to the colleges in our region. And so colleges have closed, sporting events have been canceled, commencement has been canceled or postponed. So those are kind of the tougher calls that we're having right now. Well, my kid doesn't have a lacrosse game, so why do I need to come? So we're taking those case by case like you are. And fortunately, our owners have been so understanding with this. We are so lucky to have such great owners who understand where we're coming from. And honestly, I think they're just thrilled that they're not the ones answering the phone calls at this point. So.
You're definitely showing your value.
We do have
Absolutely.
a quick question here from Emily. She wanted to know if any of you have changed your cancellation policies on Airbnb now that they're offering specific search criteria for flexible policies. It doesn't allow for certain date parameters or puts reservations at risk outside the potential COVID-19 impact. So she just wanted to know if that's something, if you're looking at changing those cancellation policies on Airbnb.
Well,
I am not, because I have a very small booking percent from Airbnb. It's very small. So I'm not going to pivot and roll over for them and what they're going to do. And the decisions that they make right now are going to affect their relationships with property managers moving forward. So we will do what's best for our guests and our owners, and they can do whatever they want.
We have about 20 to 25% bookings through Airbnb, and we have always had super strict, and I wouldn't go back on that for anything. I think it's worked for us in the past, and what they're doing now is exactly what we expected them to do. We went through it with Red Tide 2 years ago, and people, you know, if they weren't going to do that, we had chargebacks that came through during red tide. So, you know, we actually gave back a lot of money because we're in a situation where we have a lot of large homes, and a lot of these people have been coming for 5-6 years, and the same people. And as you know, Jennifer said, just people are like hurting for money right now. So what we did was we refunded them, and then they could rebook. And a lot of them, basically within a couple of days, once they got calm about it, they have come back and rebooked for next year. But I think a lot of it seems to be, they just need the money. They feel insecure. There's this amazing fear of travel that is not going to go away for a period of time. And, you know, we're hoping in the summertime with the drive-to market that will be less, but certainly the fly-to market is going to be hampered for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And because of that, you know, with the demand and obviously our supplies at risk too, Jennifer, you were mentioning with, you know, owners, have you, I hope, I mean, this is kind of like a question, but I hope you guys aren't slashing prices, because I have been reading, you know, if you slash prices now to get people in, that, you know, it's going to be really hard to bring those rates back up. And what are you guys doing? How are you changing your pricing strategies? You know, how are your competitors dropping prices? And, you know, as far as like Airbnb and your distribution channels, are you using this as an opportunity to say, hey, if you're going to flex on my cancellation policy, then I'm going to jack up my prices to kind of cover what I need to in order to make that risk, assess that risk?
If I can say, the race to the bottom on pricing started long before COVID-19 started. And as a property manager, we do not subscribe to this. We build a relationship with our guests. They know they're going to be taken care of. They know if they need anything, they can call us. We're going to be there in the middle of the night, in the morning, whatever it is. So our price is our price. I don't know about anybody else, but I haven't even been able to look at that. What are my competitors doing? Are they dropping their price? Are people doing this? We have not touched our pricing. And I think if we start touching our pricing, we're all going to collectively bring our vacation rental community down. So please,
Yeah.
I encourage managers not to slash your pricing. We are going to come back from this.
Yeah.
It is going to change, and we need to come out on the other end. And if we start dropping prices right now, coming out on the other end is not going to look pretty. No one can work for free, and we all work very, very hard. Don't drop your prices right now.
You know, we did do some rate adjustments, but they weren't for short-term stays. We basically just put a message up that if you need more than 14 nights for those longer-term shelter-in-place stays, give us a call, and then we're handling it that way. But we're not. I totally agree about not just slashing your rates, but I do think if you're in your peak season, or what would be considered one of your peak seasons, if you want to get some of those shelter-in-place bookings, you should look at how you want to price for that. And you don't necessarily have to advertise that outright. You can have, you know, the call to book messaging.
Yeah. Do you feel like, you know, you're talking about some shelter in place, going after the first responders and the healthcare workers as a market opportunity? Do you feel like there are going to be some opportunities with long-term rentals that come out of this? Have you guys thought about that? No, don't want to get into that boat.
There's no money in long-term renters. I mean, long-term renters, there's no money in that. I want my people to come in, have a great week, eat out every night, sit on the beach, leave the property, let me clean it, get another family in there.
So let me ask you this, you know, it seems like the younger traveler, obviously they have to be over 25 in 99% of the cases with vacation rentals, but do you feel like you're going to shift your marketing towards a younger traveler that might be more lenient and more courageous once the travel bans and shelter in place and you guys being allowed to accept rentals? Do you feel like you'll go after a younger audience rather than that older audience?
I think always the demographics have been, I mean, certainly for us, the demographics are in a certain period in the year, so that in the summertime, we're going to have multi-generational families. In the fall, we'll have semi-retired adults who come to play golf. You know, spring break time, we've got multiple families traveling together, but we do have certain accommodations within our group that do attract millennial travelers just by the style of the accommodation, where it's located, and the fact that we're allowed to do short stays there. So they're the ones that are coming for 3 or 4 nights because they just want to get away.
In the last couple years, we've seen a huge shift in the type of traveler coming to our area. When I first started about 4 years ago, it was mainly families, multi-generational families who stayed with us during peak season. Now we're seeing about a 50-50 split. So our traveler is already changed. So I don't want to, while yes, I see some advantages of targeting more millennials, I don't want to leave out those families, only because I'm thinking of myself, and I have 2 kids at home. And, you know, if we were able to travel and vacation right now while school shut down, I would, but with a pandemic, no. But I don't want to leave out those families where staying in a vacation rental has obvious benefits versus a hotel room. Health benefits, social distancing, all of that. So I don't see us targeting millennials specifically any more than we are right now. I think we'll probably keep our targeting about the same as it has been in the last, year or two.
Mm-hmm. We are running out of time. We've got 2 minutes left till 2 o'clock, and I want to be super respectful of your time, because I know that you guys are in this, in the crisis and the front lines, even as the owners. Do you guys have any final thoughts, some words of advice on things crisis that you've been in before, and something to share?
For Judith and I, hurricane season, like, we can see the hurricane coming. We know when it's going to hit. When it leaves, we assess our properties, fix them back up, get back on the road. This, we have no idea. You can't look ahead. You can't predict it. You don't know what's going to happen. I'm reading comments here just from Betsy. I mean, she just had to lay off her entire staff, but her manager. It's the hardest day in 28 years. People are going to lose their businesses here. And this morning, my husband and I lost a friend. And he went to the office this morning. He's seeing sick patients right now, and he's going to come home from work tonight. This is hard for everyone. Yesterday, I called Jody Rafasco. I called Judith. I called Tim Cafferty. Just people I really respect in the business. And I said, how are you handling this? What are you doing? Not just because I respect them and need their opinion. I want my business to survive. And I want to talk and reach out to people, because we are so isolated right now. So keep calling your mentors and friends. ICND, keep putting on things like this so we can get together and gather and see each other and talk about our difficulties. And listen, my company offered all my employees a short-term loan at no interest, that if they needed to pay their rent, or if their husband lost their job, whatever they needed, they could pay it back over 2 years of payroll, interest-free. Wow. We will not lay anyone off. We will make it through this. We will come out stronger on the other side. And this is tough for everyone, but we're a really great community. Keep reaching out to people.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
So yeah, like Jennifer said, hurricanes are a piece of cake actually compared to this. Although Irma scared us so much that I don't want to go through that again. The other thing we had to deal with is environmental issues, red tide, blue-green algae, basically dead fish all over the beach, things like that. And that was another thing that came out of nowhere. It's like you wake up one morning and there's the whole beach is covered in dead fish and stinky seaweed. And like, where did it come from? And again, that was something that we didn't know how long it was going to take to go away. And that became a very difficult situation. A lot of emotion, a lot of people saying, I'll never come back here. This is awful. But there again, we had to go through a refund process because, you know, there were days when you couldn't go outside. It was so bad. And in that particular kind of case, we gave money back because those people, a lot of them have come back and rebooked this coming summer because they took a year off. But a lot of those people that have been with us every year came back because we gave them their money back, or we gave them a half refund because they stayed or whatever. But I think Goodwill is going to run a lot of businesses as we go forward with this crisis.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Well, we have hit our 2:00 mark. It's 2:01. I do have some slides, some information. VRMA has the advocacy website, and Toby Babbage, the president of VRMA, has put together a letter in hopes of us reaching the Congress and helping with trying to get our hands in the bailout pot, and I encourage you all to check that out. Reach out to your legislators that you have influence on, or make some calls and make some relationships. VRM Intel, Amy Highnote has always been a great resource. We'll continue to monitor the situation, and we're glad to put together another panel if anybody else would like to join us. I have had a few other managers reach out, and I really appreciate that, and we'll definitely bring you guys in here. We can open it up to other topics, organizational and things that are affecting your businesses. I know that that's also very top of mind. 2 weeks ago when I thought about this, we were still able to bring in guests, and things have changed. So I want to really thank our panel and all of the great input that you guys have put in, and we'll do this again for sure.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
All right,
guys.
thank you, ICND.
Thank you.
Yep. Stay strong, stronger together. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.